Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about fear and power and how you can transform some of your biggest, darkest fears and turn them into power. I had something show up for me just recently that made me look right in the mirror at some of this, and I felt very vulnerable, and I think you're going to like this show.
Cowboy.
Welcome to a daily dose of greatness quest with your host, Trevor Crane, my daddy. He is going to help you take your life and business to the next level.
Here I come to save the day.
Trevor Crane here, 11-time #1 best-selling author and the founder of Epic Author Publishing, coming to you live every day so you can plug in every day to build your ideal business so you can live your ideal life.
If my daddy can do it, then anybody can do it because he's a weirdo.
You're supposed to make me sound cool. All right, so just the other day, I had this really weird thing happened where one day, it was like the best day ever. I was spending time with my family. It was a weekend day, and it was just like literally one of the best days ever, and I was on top of the world. Like everything in my life felt so abundant. The next day, actually just an hour went by, and I was looking at a friend of mine who was doing some things on social media, and I had looked at how successful he is, and I just talked with him the other day, and he made $64 million last year, and immediately I started feeling bad. I started feeling stupid. I started feeling scared, and I'm an achiever, so I didn't, fear and scared is not a word that we typically use when we're achievers. It's more like I'm frustrated, I'm stressed, those are the words we use. But I felt anxiety right away. Because what I did is I started to measure myself according to somebody else's accomplishments and results. And I saw what he was doing on social media. He'd just been on Forbes recently. I've seen how consistently he's been posting, and I started to get jealous. And not in a happy, healthy way. I started to get down on myself that I'm not enough and I'm not going to be loved. Now, these are two core questions. I didn't exactly use that language. That's not what showed up for me, but I had to do some self-reflection. I'm like, what the hell just happened? Like, how could I go from being on top of the world to being all pissed off at myself and feeling like I am just a loser? And it was crazy how this happens. And I think it happens a lot to a lot of people when we compare ourselves to others. Because if you can always look up and see somebody else who's accomplished more. In fact, my buddy who made $64 million last year is pissed off because he'd made more money than that the year before. In fact, he just had a big financial hit in his businesses. So he actually was laughing in kind of a self-deprecating way, how he's complaining that he only made $64 million last year because he's so far down. And he realizes how ridiculous that is. That's a quality problem is what you call that. But he was looking at himself in a very similar way. He was saying, hey, for example, guys, I'm helping him write a book right now and publish a book. And he was looking at the manuscript that he's written, and he's looking at whether or not he should publish it right now. And he was coming up with some of the same fears that I was coming up with. And these two primary fears are something that Tony Robbins told me about years ago. And it's that we all have this underlying fear that I'm not going to be enough. And if I'm not enough, if I don't do enough or show up enough, I'm not smart enough, if I'm not good enough, then the people that I care about most are not going to love me, and I won't be loved. And he said that this is at the core human nature stage. And I realized this is what came up for me. As at one moment, I was focused on all this abundance and how my life was so great and how my family is so great, and I have a daughter and a son and my wife, and we had this great day, and I was feeling all this abundance. And then as soon as I started comparing myself to someone else, I started thinking that I wasn't enough, and therefore I'm a loser and I'm not going to be loved, I guess is the higher part of that. And my buddy was saying the same thing. And this is the crazy deal, because we got on a conversation, we got on the phone to talk about his book and his manuscript, and he was telling me his plan. And then he said, Trevor, here's my plan. This is what I'm planning on doing with my marketing, what I'm going to plan on doing with getting the book out there. And he was talking about it, and he said, but I don't think I'm ready yet. In fact, there's part of me that thinks I should just hold off on publishing this book because I'm just not there yet. And then he was also saying that he wanted to approach some big social media superstars, people that are really killing it in the world, like let's say Tai Lopez, and who else? He wanted to talk to Tony Robbins. Who else is it? God, I can't think right now. Tim Ferriss. Who's another one? Gary Vee. And he said that he doesn't think that his brand and that his business is at the stage where it's appropriate for you to talk to them. And I was thinking, what a freaking crazy person he is. But I was also recognizing the pattern that we humans have, where we consider that whatever we've accomplished, no matter how cool it is, that oftentimes, especially when it comes to self-promotion, and when you're in business for yourself, or you're trying to build your personal brand, that we tend to be humble, and we tend to be even more than humble. We tend to let this little voice inside our heads tell us that we haven't accomplished enough. And crazy enough, years ago, it was probably over a decade ago, maybe 15 years ago, 18 years ago, I was at this event. It was a leadership conference. I was trying to work on it was a personal development conference. And this gal who was very spiritually connected came up and she approached me. We were doing a hiking thing in this group. And she came up and she said, Trevor, I have angels that talk to me. It was a little weird, this conversation that we had. But she said, I see angels around you and they have a message for you. It was something like this. And she said that they want me to tell you that you don't have to wait. That the waiting is over. That you're more than enough already. And that whatever you're planning, and she had no idea whatever plans and schemes and ideas that I had, but there's no reason to wait, that I could get started right now. And this is the crazy thing that I have found, and this is my challenge to you. So here it is. And I had this conversation. I don't know if I've shared this with you yet, depending on which episode of Greatness Quest that you're listening to. I had a conversation with Tony Robbins, like literally, not one of the figurative ones when I'm just pretending like I'm talking to him in my head and being a crazy person, where I literally had a conversation with him. I was at one of his events, and I asked him a question. I was really concerned about something, and it was basically this core question that I'm not enough. And Tony said, Trevor, is that the truth? Is that the truth? And I'm sure I've shared this with you before, but I don't know if you've heard it or not. This may be the first time. And he said, Trevor, is that the truth, that you're not enough? And he kind of challenged me a little bit. He poked me. Like, are you sure is that the truth? And the thing is that I actually called bullshit on it. And then he helped me realize that I'm more than enough already. Just like this spiritual angel gal told me freaking 15 years ago. Tony told me the same thing, and I'm sharing it with you now. Don't wait. Stop waiting. You are more than enough already. Whatever it is that you think you need to go do or that you want to go do, leap. The best time to have written your book was probably start 10 years ago. The next best time is today. If you want to start that business, the best time to start that business was probably a year ago or 2 years ago when you first came up with the idea. The next best time is today. And, I heard this great speech just recently. I can't remember who it was that was sharing it, but he said, you've got to leap before you can soar. You've got to have the courage to jump off the cliff before you can soar, before you can fly. And all too often we think that there's something has to happen first, and it's not the case. I remember when my sister was in trouble financially and she didn't understand what was going on with her finances, and then I was at her apartment and one day when she first downloaded Quicken. She bought this accounting financial software. She put it on her computer and she just started. I remember the day that I decided I would start working out every day. And I just picked a 90-day challenge, and I just had to start. It wasn't Monday. It wasn't the first of the month. It wasn't the beginning of a week. It was just, I just began. When I decided to finally write my book, I just started. And I think we have this tendency to say that I'm not ready yet. And I think I see it all the damn time. And especially when people are working on their books and they're working on their business and they're thinking, I'm going to start this new thing. The truth is the best time to start is today. That's the next best time. So that's my challenge for you. Whatever you've been waiting for, don't wait any longer. Just get started. Do something today. Take the leap. And you're not going to do it perfect. You're probably going to fall down. You're probably going to make mistakes, but it's okay. I remember I sometimes challenge myself to do things that I've never done before because I just want to, because I'm scared of them. And believe it or not, I was scared to join an aerobics class and I found myself in Europe, and I was in the French Alps, and I was 20 years old, and I went to this gym, and I realized that I was scared of the aerobics class because I didn't want to bounce around and look like a fruitcake doing high knees. And also, I thought these women who were doing these aerobic classes that I'd look stupid or silly in front of them. And instead of that, and I didn't have the right workout gear, and I didn't have the shoes because I was backpacking around Europe at the time. And I was like, this is bullshit. So I just went into my first class, and I sucked. I was right. I looked stupid. My clothes looked stupid. And I didn't know how to do all the jumping jacks and exercises and things they had. I was way out of kilter. But within a few weeks, I kind of got the hang of it. And pretty soon, I was able to do the thigh master, or whatever the heck it is, and the ab thrusts, or whatever butt thrusts we were doing. At some stage, I was able to figure it out. The truth is, the best time for you to get started is now, and there's nothing holding you back but you. The only thing holding you back in your business is you. The only thing that's holding you back from whatever the hell it is you want is you and all the bullshit stories you have about why you can't do it now. And so that's my challenge for you today, is to take some type of action towards, you leaping. Whatever it is that you've wanted to do, just stop waiting. I love the Marianne Williamson quote about our deepest fear. And I think it goes that our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. That it is our light and not our darkness that most frightens us. So on that note, I'm going to wish you a great day. Make today and this week and this month and this year freaking magnificent. And if you got any value from today's show, please share it with someone else. Please go on iTunes and give me a thumbs up and a review. That would be freaking awesome. And I can't wait to see you on another episode tomorrow on a daily dose of Greatness Quest. To get even more awesomeness, which means all my best stuff, download my app by texting Trevor to 36260. It will show up right on your cell phone. Just text message the word Trevor to 36260. Talk to you soon.